Ladies and gentlemen, April 28th. The boys are buzzing. Corey to my right, Cam to my left, Soren in his alley, and John in the island of Staten. Time for this edition of He Knows Ball. Following the draft. An interesting draft to say.
Very interesting.
There was
as Soren Lamar Swanson would say. Very
Soren's
interesting.
favorite adjective. Interesting.
It's a good day to use it today.
It is a good day to use it. JD, would you concur that the draft was interesting?
Oh, to say the least. If I could think of another word, I would say that, but yes. I really want to rip the NFL in a little while, but we'll get to it.
We'll get into that for sure. We'll cover a couple different things from the NFL draft, how we think our respective teams did. We're going to go over who we think the best pick of each round is and grade the top 10. We did it last week for last year's draft, so we're going to do the early grades of this year's draft. Then we got some other good stuff coming up. But as we always do, we'll kick it off with a little bit of trivia. Does he know ball?
Does he know ball?
All right. Well, we already know what happened this weekend. And what better way than trying to figure out where exactly all of this madness started? And then that's where we get to Does he know ball for today. So where was the first NFL draft located? Bonus points if you get the building right, too. Probably not going to get the building. What was the first host city?
I was going to say Washington, D.C. The White House.
I was going to say. Can we get a hint? Like, is it like home to like one of the like original NFL teams, or would that give it away?
I don't know. I can't. I'm not. I'd have to look it up to see if they were original NFL team. Probably. It was in 1936 was the first NFL draft.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the.
We'll get like 2 guesses for everyone.
I don't know. I'll say like Green Bay again.
No. It is on the East Coast. I will say that.
East Coast. Okay, so that stopped me from my next pick.
Not farther over than Green Bay. Say that. Make it a little bit harder.
I got nothing.
Nothing?
You got 2 guesses. Just think of the map.
I already said Washington,
Oh,
D.C.
you did?
JD, you got any?
It is a current NFL team.
In the East Coast, you said?
Yep.
Not too far of Green Bay.
I have no clue, honestly.
I know Chicago. I don't know.
No.
Man.
Where's the only one ripping off answers right now?
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy. Well, okay.
That's why I didn't want to give too easy a guess and be like, some people like this team. But no, the first ever NFL draft took place on February 8th, 1936 at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Philadelphia.
I was going to say Independence
Ritz.
Hall. I was going to say Independence Hall.
The draft was instituted in an effort to end bidding wars among the league's teams by the arbitrary assignment of negotiating rights to amateur players, is what Wikipedia says.
Wow.
Okay, so it's definitely not Philadelphia. Wikipedia. Soren went in there earlier and changed it. Right, Soren?
I wish the camera was on him. I don't know if it was or not, but
no. God, no. All right. But yeah, no, the draft concluded on Saturday. Not the first ever draft, but the 2025 draft. Let's start with what we said we're going to start with. Let's talk about our teams. So I think the most, I don't want to use Soren's favorite adjective, but interesting team going into the draft, among ours at least, was Pittsburgh. I think there was a lot of questions circulating about how they would use their first pick, how they'd kind of go throughout the draft. So, Corey, how did you think Pittsburgh did this draft?
I thought they did fine, to be honest. Picking up Derek Harmon, I think was great. He's got a guy like Cam Hayward he can lean off of. Me and Bigsy love Caleb Johnson. He did some great things at Iowa. And of course, Mr. National Champion himself, Will Howard. I think he could be a good third string unless, Aaron Rodgers doesn't happen and Mason Rudolph decides to get back into real estate or something. I don't know. But I thought they did fine. I will say, I thought the Steelers, am I blown away? No, but I think they went in the right direction and they actually didn't take a quarterback in the early rounds.
So you're happy that they waited till later?
Yeah, I think so. Because I think we're all in on Aaron Rodgers, and I am.
Let me ask you this. Do you think they waited too long to get a quarterback? Do you think they could have grabbed one maybe in the 4th or 5th?
Maybe. I mean, there's always a possibility. Maybe.
I'm kind of playing devil's advocate because, like you said, Will Howard shouldn't be a starter.
Definitely not. No.
But the future is still yet to be unwritten, as Natasha Bedingfield would say. It's unwritten. But I just want to see, like, if let's say theoretically in the 4th round they were to have gone after a quarterback, like, do you think it would have been? Because obviously, leading up to the draft, we all thought Sanders would have been your 1st round pick. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it didn't happen. He was still available in the 4th. So do you think maybe that should have been the spot where you did pull the trigger on that?
I don't know. I think just based on some of the interviews, like what I've seen, like what Shador, like his attitude and that stuff, I think Mike Tomlin's kind of he's already got enough, like, you know, I guess quote unquote children to take care of on that team. So I don't think he wants another cancer, I guess you could say. That's the only word. It may not be that way to describe it. But and then I also think there's a lot of pressure to have, you know, Deion's kid on your team. Yeah. I mean, if they fail, you know, who you know, it's going to reflect on Mike Tomlin.
It's
and
not
like,
going to be Sanders' fault.
It's different when you go to like the Browns because they suck. I mean, everybody knows they suck. So even if they fail, it's, you know, Deion's going to be like, yeah, like we knew they were bad, but my son is going to turn the team around. The Steelers, the standard is the standard, and the standard is 9 to 10 wins every year. So it's like if we fail, then it's going to look bad on Tomlin's part and just the whole staff.
That's fair. Biggsy, do you concur with that?
Yeah, I'm a little higher on Will Howard, I think, than you guys are. I think he's got potential. I mean, he's flashed a little bit. He has good size as well. I don't think he should be a starter at any point soon, but if Rodgers does fall, I think there will be a genuine battle with Mason Rudolph because Rudolph is not that great and has never been very good.
Bar is very low. All right, we'll move on to our next team that I would say, Cam, you and I are entering in a draft with not too much stress. I think you had more stress than I did. Mm-hmm. But I think after the Steelers, I think JD had more stress than the rest of us. JD, how do we think the Jets did in the draft?
Definition of average. That's what that was. And not even the first 2 days didn't really piss me off that much. The last day, I feel like they wasted and just threw all their picks down the drain, except for one that I really like. I like Malachi Moore from Alabama, the safety. Mm-hmm. But everyone else, I'm not a fan of any of those picks. And then going back to the first round, of course, you guys knew I wasn't a huge fan of the pick. Not in the sense of the player, because I think Membu could be really, really good for this team. And the offensive line is pretty much set now for probably like at least 5 years because they're all young. But it's like you think about it in the sense of, okay, you have Garrett Wilson, who's the number 1 receiver. Clear cut. Everybody knows that. He's probably top 15 receiver in the league. And he has no help. His next best receiver would be in like the 200th ranked receiver in the entire league. And I feel like that's where you have to go with someone like Tyler Warren because he could be a generational type player. And it's 2 years straight that they went with the offensive lineman instead. It's frustrating.
What do you think about Mason Taylor, who went in the 2nd round?
I am a big fan of him. I know his dad played for the Jets a few years back. He was very talented at LSU. I think he set like almost all their records for like catching and yards and all that stuff. So it's not like they're getting a nobody, but I feel he's definitely on a different level than what Warren is.
I don't think
like that. I feel like the attention isn't going to be that much on him as what Warren would get and get Garrett Wilson more open targets.
Oh, 100%. I think either tight end, even if they were to go with Loveland, who ended up going a few picks later, I think either way it would have been a massive upside. I think Taylor does provide more upside than what Jeremy Ruckert would have done. I know Wiggs loves Jeremy Ruckert, but
he's just not it though.
It's just he's not the fix. You know, it's great he got paired back up with his college quarterback, but like it doesn't mean it's going to lead to anything. I just think could they have been more aggressive? Yes, I think maybe they have faith in the guys they drafted last year, and even Smith in the 4th round. Like they grabbed Corley last year, they have Smith this year. Maybe they're focused on developing it. And if you look at the offense of Breece Hall, who I think we can all agree is a top 10, if not top 5 running back in the league. I think they have a good number 2 in Braylon Allen. And I think with Fields, you're really going to focus on running the ball a lot more. While, yes, you do need other people to open up the field for Wilson because it is Wilson and nobody else. I think they're going to focus on the run more, and I think that will kind of help open up the passing game as well.
Yeah, I understand. It's just that the philosophy in this day and age, I feel like the run game, like only run game first, it doesn't always work. You know what I mean? Like we saw the Eagles, yeah, they were a run first team, but they had the ability to throw the ball 70 yards down the field because of who they had.
Yeah.
Like I know obviously the Jets can't fix that in like one snap of a finger, but it's just that they have no other weapons. Like I believe in Corley. I think he can be a good player, but like he's not that deep threat. He's gonna do more of those little gadget plays. Like he'll get those like 10-yard slants, stuff like that. They're lacking that right now. But maybe they'll surprise people this year. Because I'll tell you one thing, they will play hard. I can tell that. It's just that the type of players they have in the room, they will play hard. I don't know how many games they'll win, but they'll give a solid effort.
Well, as a franchise, you never want to, punt on a season, but at least that the mentality is good. Like with Rodgers, it was like you needed to win, you need to win. The fact that now it's like, all right, you have a locker room full of guys who are going to play hard. If you win games, that's great, and if you lose, next year's quarterback class is really deep. So if Fields, I don't think you guys are looking at Fields as the long-term answer. You get your guy next year.
They better not be, but yeah.
But you get your guy next year. We'll move to Detroit. Cam, I know you wanted to address the interior line for both offense and defense.
Yeah.
And they did that in the first 2 days.
Yeah, absolutely. I really don't have too many complaints. I guess like kind of what JD said, and like it's a little bit unfortunate for the Lions side because I think they usually do draft very well past the 6th round. Not that I'm taking a dig at Ahmad Hassan, the edge from Boise State. I think that's a great pick. I mean, we kind of were talking about it a bit earlier. I'm going to be a little bit biased. I think he's easily the best pick of the 6th round, but obviously heavily biased. I think the 7th round could have been a little bit better. I like the safety pick with Dan Jackson. Just trying to further build that depth in that position. The only thing that really, I don't know how the word to describe it, just like a little bit confusing is the wide receiver picks. Not that Isaac Tesla in the 3rd round was a bad selection. I would have been more keen on picking up Cam Scatterbo, and I'm a little bit disappointed that the Giants were able to snag him in that 4th round. I was also kind of shocked that he did fall to the 4th round. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, the only thing that's kind of concerning is taking a D tackle in the 1st round. It makes me a little bit worried about Aleem McNeil's ACL going into this next season. But, I mean, there really isn't a whole lot to complain about. I mean, they took the players that were the best available at that time, addressed the issues that were needed to be addressed. So, I mean, it was once again a pretty good draft by Brad Holmes.
I don't think it was flashy. No. I think you could look at a lot of these other teams who drafted, and there were a lot more flashy picks. I think they addressed what they needed to.
Oh, absolutely.
When we were going through our mock draft, when we got to lines, it was like DT or offensive line.
Yeah, whoever was available.
And you look, Tyleek and Tate, first 2 rounds, you take that. Tesla's interesting.
Yeah.
He's a very big-bodied receiver, and I think you guys have Laporta at tight end, but I think he does add that threat on the outside for sure, and I think that will help open up the passing game a little bit more.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like they're so set on the 3 core guys of the GOAT, Tim Patrick, Jamison Williams, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. But, I mean, if anyone's going to find a wide receiver in the 3rd or 4th round and make them work, it's going to be Brad Holmes. So, I mean, but, like, my favorite pick from this entire draft has got to be Miles Frazier in the 5th round. I mean, I think the statistic that I was reading, it was like the last 3 years he's let up 0 sacks and I think 1 QB hit. Like his QB pressure is like absolutely insane. He's been an absolute dog for that LSU O-line. It's an incredible pickup, especially in the 5th round.
Especially for like a Lions team, or like the O-line the past few years has been good. So it's nice to see them because guys are going to start to age. Injuries are going to happen as well. But you don't have to rush to develop these guys either. You have guys who you have some faith in who, you could, Frazier being one of them, like he was great as a starter. You don't have to rush him into starting at the NFL. You can give him some time to develop. And you see every season, guys are going to go down. So he's not going to sit on the bench the entire year. He's going to get some reps. Frazier was a great pick that late in the draft. But yeah, I think Detroit had, overall, again, not flashy, but they addressed what they needed to address, which was the most important thing.
Yeah, if I had to grade it right now, B-. I think that's very, like, they addressed what they needed. A little bit of questionable picks later in the round, but later in the draft, but really, really cannot complain too much.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to the Philadelphia Eagles. After having time to reflect, I was really frustrated the night of the draft because I won other players. So when we did the reel, you saw my reaction. It's not as excited as I am now. Jahad Campbell was an excellent pick. The fact he fell as far as he did, I keep seeing the Breaking Bad memes of Jesse saying they can't keep getting away with this because it's every year. Philadelphia gets a guy who is projected to go a lot higher, fall into their lap. I was upset because I wanted Starks and Nolan, and they went higher. I would have really liked Will Johnson as well, but I think Jahad Campbell, dude, that linebacker core of Bond, Dean, and Campbell is going to be filthy for the future. And Campbell has the ability to bounce around. He could play off the edge a little bit. He can play that. I don't know if he can play like a true Mike position, but he can play one of those Sam or Will backs. Like he's going to be a beast in this defense. And then I was obviously upset about Starks. And the second day we addressed it. We got Makuba, who, look, I've seen some highlights from him. He's going to level people. He is going to, not that you want to send people out in a body bag, but it's no fly zone in Philadelphia now. Stay away from the Philly airport because Andrew Makuba is flying around. I was a little frustrated that we kept trading back in the third. I would have liked to grab a third, but we got a bunch of depth pieces later on. Ty Robinson's another guy. Oh, dude, the front. Like, I was upset about not getting Nolan. This is a guy who's going to rock opposing teams. Like, he's going to be great. Then you have Mac McWilliams, a guy that can develop on the outside from UCF. And then Howie doing what Howie does, getting another Georgia guy in Shmuel Mondon Jr. Again, build up the linebacker depth. We saw Oren Burks leaving free agency, and Dean, he should be healthy by training camp, but with the pec injury. And then Campbell, like, you want to make sure you don't rush him too quickly. You want to make sure he develops the way you want him to. So it's always good to get some depth there. The biggest thing I like from the final day of the draft, they got 3 offensive linemen. They're not highly touted. They're guys that are going to go to Stoutland University and turn into studs. You know, Hinton and Williams aren't these big names on the outside, but, you know, Lane Johnson is starting to get older. You know, Jordan Mailata did battle with some injuries last year. Like, get these guys developed so if, you know, an injury ever does incur or, you know, Lane Johnson decides this is last year, you have his successor. I'm very happy with the draft. I think Kyle McCord backup is nice, too. He had a really good year at Syracuse. It was a very pass-heavy offense. I think he doesn't really fit the same scheme that, you know, Philly plays, but I think he just has the arm talent where he can make up for it.
I do want to talk to you about so one thing that I wanted the Eagles to address in particular in this draft was the need for secondary help and depth. Not that their secondary was bad, but you lose CJ Gardner-Johnson, you lose Darius Slay. How do you feel about like them not really hammering in it? Because it seems like they only really got 1 or 2 pieces to really pick up and try and filter out, I think, those guys.
Well, we even so, we lost Isaiah Rodgers too. So we definitely lost a lot. I think Makuba is going to replace CJ.
Yeah.
I think we're okay with that. That's why I wanted Starks so badly, but I think Makuba, not the same prospect Starks is, but I think he'll complement the secondary well. I think they also have a lot of faith in DeJean to take another step up. They played him a lot in the slot last year. That's also why I wanted Will Johnson, so you didn't have to move him outside the slot. I still think there's a chance they play him there. I think that's why you drafted McMilliams, because also they want to play Keely Ringo at corner. They drafted him a few years ago. The Philadelphia Bulldogs, that's what they want. I think it's also a money thing too. They could have addressed it more, and I think just where it was at in the draft, you wanted Campbell more than you wanted Johnson. If Johnson was able to stumble a little bit further, Philly probably would have pulled the trigger and moved up. But I think just knowing how this team is built, they have a lot of faith in the young guys they already have. And they want to see, because Ringo really hasn't gotten the chance since they drafted him. So see what you have in him. And that's why you drafted McWilliams, because if he's not the answer, then you can slot him in, right? They didn't go after the splash pick at corner. Yeah. But I think they have faith in the guys they have in the DB's room. And we'll see what happens. I think the pass rush is good enough to make up for maybe the lack of talent you have at corner. But we have to wait and see. That's what's so great about the NFL offseason. You can say all these things, and the next day it changes. Or the time they go on the field, it changes. I think Philly had a good draft. It's kind of the same thing. I think besides Campbell, wasn't flashy, but like they addressed what they needed to, and they got depth, which I think was a big thing. Which moves us to our next thing. We're going to go through each of the 7 rounds of the NFL draft, and we are going to say who we think our best pick from the round was. So, Corey, I'll start with you. Who do you think the best pick of the first round was?
I think it's Travis Hunter. I think just he's a unicorn. I mean, he can do everything. I think he's going to be a really, really big piece for the Jaguars. Yeah, I like him. I think he's just the best overall, just well-rounded pick in that first round.
Okay. JD, what do you think?
I like that one a lot. I'm going to go with the next man picked, Abdul Carter. I think this might be the best fit of the entire first round. Just because think who's he faced every 6 times, basically 6 games. Dak Prescott, Jaden Daniels, and Jalen Hurts, all guys that can move around, and he can be that type of guy that sets the tone on the defense. And he's playing with great players. Like he's walking into a terrific situation for someone like a rookie to have. He can have 10 plus sacks next year because of those type of talent that he has on that defensive line with him. And I feel like that also brings less pressure on him because he knows, okay, I got someone like Sexy Dexy, I got Brian Burns, Thibodeau. Like I don't have to do as much as maybe if I went to somewhere like, I don't know, say he went to New England, he would have all the pressure on him because they don't really have anybody else. I really like this pick a lot.
100%. If you was going to start listing the names around him, I was going to. This front 7 for the Giants, it's scary to say the least. Cam, who do you think?
I'm going to go a little bit of a wild ball. I mean, it's the easy answer is just pick one of like the top 5 guys. I'm going to say Derek Harmon for the Steelers. I don't know.
Yeah.
You didn't really talk about him too much in the beginning, but I mean, just the fit for everything. I think he's going to be an absolute stud for that Steelers D line. I mean, that defense is going to be incredible. It's going to hold the Steelers to a classic, 17-14 game where Boswell walks it off. Great pickup for the Steelers.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you 2 because I've been kind of teetering. One, because I have a little more bias towards the other. It's Malachi Starks with the Ravens. Him and Kyle Hamilton are going to complement each other perfectly. For a team that really struggled to guard the pass last year, they're going to shut down opposing offenses who are trying to air it out. But I also want to say Tyler Warren. The fact that he fell to 14 for the Indianapolis Colts, who didn't have a tight end, who they want to figure out what they have in AR-15, you get him quite possibly the best offensive weapon in the draft. So I love that pick by Indy. So we'll move to the second round and keep with the same order. Corey, who do you think the best pick of the second round was?
I think it's Travion Henderson. I think him and Stevenson, that backfield for the Patriots, that's going to be fun to watch. And Patriots, too. I think the Patriots did really good in this draft. They got a lot of good pieces, and I'm excited to see what they do with Vrabel also.
Spin the Vrabel. JD, what do you got?
I'm going to stick with the same theme. The pick after the Patriots, Luther Burden, I think going to the Bears, that was excellent. I think after also they took Loveland in the first round, people probably didn't expect for them to go out and get another weapon. Him being the slot receiver for this team with DJ Moore, Roma Dunze. So I think he's another guy. I like this theme a lot where he's going into a situation again where the pressure isn't, we have to feed this guy 15, 16 times a game because he has so many other talented guys around him. And especially for Caleb Williams, in that early stage of like a quarterback's career, they always like to have that comfortability with a weapon, and I think Burden could definitely be that type of guy right away. And this Bears offense is scary, man.
Yeah, most definitely. Cam?
I'm sitting between 2. The first one, I'm going to say, really set the tone for this team's the rest of the draft that they had. First off, I'm going to go with Nick Emawari from South Carolina, the safety, going to the Seahawks. I think that's a great pick for that position that he was in. Easily could have went to the first round. Just lucky enough to have him fall not really that far, but I think it really set the tone for Seattle's draft after that. And we were talking about it before the live stream kicked off. I'm going to go with Jack Beck for my real pick for the Raiders. He may not be a true wide receiver 1, but I think pairing him up with Bowers, you put him on the same side of the field, I mean, that's going to give secondaries a lot of problems. Raiders maybe not set for success right away, but they're slowly building that offense with Jack Beck, Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers. Like once they can find their quarterback out, maybe Geno has a good year, they're going to be really set up for the future.
I'll give an honorable mention for Donovan Ezaraku going to Dallas. I really like the pick, pairing him with Micah. But I think the best pick by far has to be Will Johnson. He stumbled out of the first round. Obviously, we don't know what's going on with the knee. Clearly, that had to have been a concern with a lot of these teams. But a guy who was supposed to be a top 10 pick falling to the middle of the second round to Arizona, who is, again, like you said, like we've talked about before, like they want to build up their defense, especially with Jonathan Gannon. Like they're slowly building it up. And you mentioned with the Raiders slowly building their offense. Arizona's doing that with the defense. And I think Johnson is going to be a cornerstone for that team for the future. Corey, what do you got for the third?
Third pick, it's a bias, but Caleb Johnson, I believe he's the best pick in that third round. I mean, he rushed for over 1,500 yards, 21 touchdowns, and I just think he's the perfect second option for Jaylen Warren. I mean, we even have Kenneth Gainwell, but I just think he's just right in the middle, just a good 1-2 punch with Warren.
JD?
Damn, you stole my pick. 1 second.
Well, if you want to agree with it, by all means, go ahead.
No, I definitely agree with it, but there was another one that caught my eye a little bit. I wanted to go back to
All right,
that.
well, we'll see.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay,
The Patriots with Kyle Williams from Washington State, wide receiver. Patriots had a dire need of weapon help. They needed it. Like, they had nobody. And this is the type of guy I feel he could have been drafted a lot higher than he did. I just think the school he went to kind of hurt him a little bit. But the Patriots, I know it's not the same management, but they usually hit on those receivers on like round 3 or later. I think this could be the type of guy that sets them up for nice success.
I'm going to go with the very first pick of the third round, Darius Alexander for the Giants. Now, if the Giants didn't already have one of the best D lines after picking up Abdul Carter in the first round, I mean, this Giants D line is just only getting scarier. I made the joke this weekend, but the Giants might be like the first team in the entire history of the NFL to win games by not scoring 20 points, but like not giving up 20 points like at all this season. That Giants defense is only continuing to get better. If only their offense could follow.
I'll give 2 quick shouts real quick. Shout out Siobhan Ravel. I think that was a great pick for Dallas to put him in the secondary. And I really do like the Jalen Milroe pick for Seattle. I think they have he has the raw talent. I think a couple years of development can get him there. My guy, Harold Fanning, was a freak at Bowling Green. And I know they already have David Njoku. We look at the Cleveland Browns. We look at the quarterback room. None of them are great talents to start the year. Also, he is only 20 years old right now. So you're getting one of the younger guys in the draft, and you can put him behind Njoku, and you don't have to stress about making him a top talent right away, but you can develop him, and he is going to be very, very good. 4th round.
I got to give some love to one of my Moy guys, Bayshul Tootin. He rushed for 2,000 yards this past season, but, I mean, with the running back room for the Jags, I think he can make a case to start. I really believe. I mean, Travis Etienne was underwhelming. Bigsby was fine. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he does see what he does in this coming season.
JD?
I'm going to go with the Jets pick, actually. You're probably shocking all you guys right now. But Malachi Moore started as a freshman at Bama, so he has a ton of experience. And he's a top 1 crash out, so I'm very excited about that because I cannot wait until he crashes out on the sideline. It's going to be very fun to watch. And he can just do everything. He doesn't do anything great. That's probably why he got to the 4th round. But he does a lot of things really, really well, which I think that over time he can develop. And to start the year, he's probably not going to start, but I can definitely see him in that starting role towards like week 10 or later in the season.
Yeah.
All right, well, JD stole my actual pick, so I'll just stick with my honorable mention. I'm going to go Cam Scatterboo. I was very upset that the Giants were able to pick him up. Again, like, Giants up there with one of the top teams of having the best drafts that they possibly could have, and being able to pick up Cam Scatterboo in the 4th round is just absolutely incredible.
Hey, dude, him and Tyron Tracy, I talked about it with Starks and Hamilton, complement each other.
Well, it's like I was so keen on the Lions getting him because all the new stuff with the new kickoff rule and stuff, and like a lot of the stuff that I've been reading, and it makes sense, is a lot of these teams are starting to look for those bigger body guys who are almost like a fullback to do those kick returns with kickers almost like being forced to kick it in to within that 20-yard line to make those guys run it back. It's no longer going to be about speed. It's just going to be about dudes who can just run over people. So I think even if he isn't playing running back right out of the bat, he's going to be an absolute dangerous man on special teams.
Yeah. 2 of us have taken running backs. I'm going to keep the trend. And I'm going to keep the trend of my last round, too. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns pick of Dylan Sampson. Now, Cleveland had a very intriguing draft, to say the least. They drafted, I feel like, multiples of everything. Every position they went. They drafted Quinshon Judkins earlier in the, I think it's 2nd round. And I love Judkins. I think Judkins was great before. I think Ohio State, because he split snaps with Henderson, his numbers didn't reflect it, but he was still a beast. But Dylan Sampson, dude, for Tennessee, lightning speed, had 22 touchdowns. Also, the same thing I said with Fannin. He's only 20 years old. He doesn't turn 21 until the start of next season.
I'm older than him.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of us.
Everyone in here, I think, besides Jack, is older than him. So like, I
That's
really
insane.
do like the pick. He's lightning speed too. I think him and we talked about Scadaboo and Tracy. I think him and Judkins complement each other. I think Judkins is more of that athletic, can kind of bower you over type. Samson is going to blaze by you. I really, really, really do like it. 5th round, Corey. What do we got?
I'm going to sell out and say Shador Sanders. I know. Listen, he did play well at Colorado. I will give him that. But, man, it is going to be interesting to see how that quarterback room shakes out. I mean, they have so many quarterbacks. So when you go to the depth chart, Shador Sanders isn't even on the quarterback depth chart. That's how many quarterbacks they have.
Jesus.
But yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see what happens in Cleveland.
Yeah. JD.
Yeah, I was about to say Shador Sanders as well. I think we should talk about him and that whole situation a little more after
Yeah, for sure.
we do this, if you guys are up to that.
Yeah,
But
100%.
for my favorite 5th round pick, I'm going to be a homer a little bit. Mitchell Evans from Notre Dame got drafted by the Panthers. He's definitely not going to be the most talented guy, but he does all the little things correctly. And for a team like the Panthers, I think they're on the up, man. I don't know how many people can agree with me on that, but I think they're really setting themselves up for a good situation. And Mitchell Evans is going to be he's going to fit in good for them.
I agree with that 100%. I really do like where Carolina is heading. Not JD. Cam, what do you got?
I'm going to go with the bias pick. I mean, I already said it earlier, but I'm going to go Miles Frazier, drafted by the Lions, offensive guard from LSU. Started over 50 games in his entire collegiate career. I think he only played 3 years at FIU and LSU. In his last 20 collegiate games, did not allow a single sack. I mean, only one quarterback hit through I think it's 35 games. I mean, incredible pickup for the Lions.
Both of you who are here took my picks, by the way. I wanted to say Shador, and my fallback was Frazier. After that, I did like Denzel Burke for Arizona. I think you take anyone from this Ohio State defense, and you can be happy with it. And I mentioned with Will Johnson earlier what they were looking to do, and I think they achieved what they wanted. So move to the 6th, Corey.
Another Moigoy shout out, Devin Neal from the Kansas Jayhawks going to NOLA. Listen, like we've been saying, the Saints need a lot of help, and I think he's going to be make the case again to be Alvin Kamara's right-hand man. I think this run game could look really good with him. I'm excited to see what happens.
JD.
I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens, taking Tyler Loop, kicker from Arizona. I know this stage of the draft you usually don't say you can find a starter, but we know the situation of Justin Tucker, and he probably won't be around for this team. So I think Tyler Loop has a great chance of starting opening day for the Baltimore Ravens. And he has a huge leg as well. 6 of 9 on attempts from 50-plus yards in college is pretty impressive.
Yeah. Okay.
I was going to go with Loop, but I guess I'll just stick with the Lions here. Ahmed Hassan from Boise State getting their edge that they so desperately needed. And, I mean, they just got an absolute dog. I mean, you've all seen the clip from the combine of him firing up the one coach. I mean, dude, Brad Holmes found his guy. I mean, he's gonna bring up so much energy to that Lions defense.
Boys, we talked about this before we went live. I was stewing over this pick. It's Ollie Gordon, dude. The fact that someone who ran for 1,800 yards and 21 touchdowns 2 years ago went in the 6th round. I think biased maybe. I think he is the second best running back in the draft behind Genti. I think it was purely situational why his numbers were bad this year. And I think in that Miami offense alongside Devon Achane, dude, he could be scary. He could be even the three, him, Jalen Wright, and Achane is scary. But I'm rocking with Ollie Gordon. I think that was an excellent pick by Miami. We'll go to the final round. What do you think?
I got Tez Johnson. I think he's going to be underrated for the Bucks. I mean, he's only 154 pounds, very light guy, one of the lightest player at the combine. And pairing him with like Baker Mayfield, if he starts to get some, targets and get some time on the field, I think he can be very underrated. He's quick, he's explosive, and I think he's another good piece for the Bucks.
Yeah. Mr. Downey?
I'm going to go with the Dolphins. As much as I hate them, I like the pick of Quinn Ewers. He's set up for he actually is set up for success. I know we always make fun of him, and I mean, last year this time people thought he would be like a day 1, day 2 pick, and he fell off a lot just because of the season he had. But I think he's honestly the quarterback. He's like a righty Tua type of guy with like the throws and stuff like that. He can make all the throws, just not the most talented guy. I like this pick a lot.
You took my pick, JD, by the way.
And Corey stole my pick, so let's blame him.
All right, Cam, what do you got?
All right, we're down to the 7th round. Not a lot of names you can really pick up. I'm just gonna stick with JD Quinn Ewers.
It has to be.
Realistically, I think kind of like what he said. He's set up for success. Whether it be Tua decides to leave with his helmet again, he's got a starting role right there, unfortunately. But I mean, like he has a place to learn. He has a quarterback that he's going to learn under that fits his skill set very well. Whether the uncertainty with the Dolphins right now, we don't really know what could happen with McDaniel this season after being under the hot seat for most of last year. They at least got a guy somewhat for the future.
Yeah, I think you look at the quarterback room and you look at the depth chart right now. It says Zach Wilson's the 2.
That won't last long.
Yeah, I was about to say, sure, maybe when Tua gets hurt, Zach Wilson will get the first game, and then from there, it won't be. It'll be Quinn Ewers' seasons from there. And I also think you look at the receivers he'll be throwing to. Waddle, Hill, Westbrook-Akine had like 26 catches and like 8 of them were touchdowns last year. Like he has the talent around him. I think Ewers is in a really good spot. All right. We'll get to the Sanders conversation after we do this last bit. Let's go back to the first round. We jumped all the way to the 7th. We did it last week with last year's draft. And it is still early. It's kind of hard to tell. These guys haven't even taken a snap, haven't even put on the uniform. Let's grade the top 10 picks. I will start with Cam Ward to the Tennessee Titans.
I'll say like A-, I would say.
I'll say like just a flat out B. Not that he's like a terrible player, but like, is he really going to be set up for success? I mean, like he has all the raw talent and stuff, but we are still talking about the Tennessee Titans after all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's not talk about the team. Let's talk about just purely the player at the spot you grabbed him.
A-.
I think I think it's the right pick. It was the pick we kind of in the last month or so we agreed on.
Yeah.
I think anything else would have been surprising to us if they went anywhere else. Second overall, the Jaguars grabbing Travis Hunter. Now, for this one, we can include them trading up. I think that is a big factor about this. I think it's an A.
I think so.
You grab the best player in the draft.
Because I think if he went to Cleveland, I don't know how that would have. Or I think he's in a better position in Jacksonville.
I'm going to go with the B just based off of the trade itself.
It was a lot.
I think, like, even with Travis Hunter, this team is really still not set up for success. Like, we've seen the flashes with Trevor Lawrence, but is he going to be in his prime enough when this team can actually start winning playoff games? Because realistically, like their window to start like actually winning playoff games, they probably still got 2 to 3 years to go.
Yeah, I'd say
I feel like they're still gonna have to do a lot to reset that offense, and losing out on a first round pick next year, whether it be the best player. Granted, you got a kid who's close from Jacksonville, like he's finally back at home, and he could have went to Cleveland, Ohio. Like he's happy.
The weather's
to be there.
much nicer.
So just with what they had to give up makes sense for who he is, and if he turns out right, awesome. But I feel like it's setting them back a little bit.
I think the fact that they are so on board with him playing both ways, I think not having the pressure of him being a wide receiver 1, he can be a 2 behind BTJ. I think that's perfect, right? And I think they desperately needed people in the secondary, so that's your starting CB1. I'm not going to argue. They gave up so much. They gave up they swapped first. They gave up their second this year, their fourth, their first next year. Like, they gave up a lot for the pick.
Yeah. I would think, though, like, with this selection, the way this works out for them is if he's unbelievable at corner. He can only have, like, say, like 500 receiving yards on the year, but he could have like 5 or 6 picks, and everyone would be like, okay, this is a pretty good pickup for Jacksonville. Like, he's got to work out more on defense than he does need with offense, just because of how good Brian Thomas Jr.
100%.
is.
Well, they also have to keep in mind like good moderation. They don't want him on the field as a wide receiver. They don't want to overwork him.
Yeah, it is going to be something to look out for. How much they are going to put him on the field,
because you want to see longevity from him. You don't want him done in like 6 years.
So, given every part of the pick here, the trade and the fact they will be playing him both ways. What do we want to give him?
I guess I'd go with a B, I guess.
I'm going to stick
Okay.
with a B.
I would say a B.
So we move to the third pick. The New York Giants select Abdul Carter. A plus.
Yeah, A plus, easy.
A plus. I don't know if that was their biggest need. I think there's other things they could have addressed, but by getting arguably the best player, probably the second best player, I think we can say Hunter's probably better, but arguably the best player in the draft. John talked about when we went with the best pick from each round. He is a freak of nature.
Mhm.
You love it. Fourth pick, New England Patriots with Will Campbell. I think you needed a left tackle, and you got probably the best one in the draft. You didn't overcomplicate the pick. You did what you needed to do. Fifth pick, the Browns trading back and selecting Mason Graham, and you do keep in mind they did get the haul to move back and grab him.
A plus.
I'd say A, but I can
A.
make an argument for A plus.
I mean, they're setting themselves up with 2 picks next year. I mean, looking at what currently Jacksonville is, they're going to land in that top 5 pick slot again.
Yeah.
Like, they're setting themselves up really well, especially with how the quarterback class is going to be next year and the uncertainty of the
Do they really need another quarterback?
Five-headed
They have
dragon.
5 quarterbacks now.
5-headed dragon in Cleveland. So
The only reason I would say A. Night of, we were texting the group chat. With them moving ahead of Las Vegas while still trading back, I really thought they would have grabbed Genty, and they still had a good draft. I still think Judkins and Sampson, especially being my top pick in the 4th, I still think they did a great job at running back. I really thought they were grabbing Genty, and the fact they didn't, I don't know if Graham was the biggest thing they needed. I think Graham's super talented, don't get me wrong, but I think they could have gotten the best running back in the draft, no questions asked.
I think that work. I agree with what you're saying. I think this works specifically just based off of the division itself. Because we're looking at the AFC North, the defense wins it all. I mean, that whole division is known for smash mouth football. Those big guys at the line who can lay the biggest hits and take out the other team's players as quickly as possible. I think it fits the division. I think it fits the culture. I don't think the run game was nearly as important as just beefing up and making sure Myles Garrett is healthy or happy, because they could have lost easily their best player and they would have set themselves back at least another decade.
All right. You saw me on it. I'll give you A+. 6th pick, the Raiders with Ashton Genty. A++++++++++. You grabbed the best running back in the draft by far. For a team that didn't run. I found out this fact when I was doing my own mock draft. Ashton Genty this season had more touchdowns on the ground than the Raiders had in each of the last 2 years rushing, and almost by about 200 yards short from having as many rushing yards as they had in the last 2 seasons.
Bad.
So they addressed their biggest need by far. A+++++. 7th overall pick, Armand Membu going to the Jets. I don't think we can grade it badly because it is a good pick. I was saying when we did our mock draft that I think he was probably my favorite tackle in the draft. I think he's going to be the most successful. But knowing that Warren and McMillan were both there, I think it's tough to give this pick an A, which is frustrating.
Yeah, I was going to give it a B. That's
I
what
think
I was
a
thinking.
B is a fair grade, just knowing what other avenues they could have explored and probably needed a little bit more. I'm waiting to hear John. I'm waiting to hear John stew about this.
Yeah, B-. I'll go even lower than that.
I'll give him a B-.
And it has nothing to do with the player. It's just what you just said.
It's the situation and knowing what else they could have gotten.
He's catching a touchdown pass at some point this year.
Yeah, they'll get him. They'll get him out there, John. Don't worry, he'll catch one.
Yeah, I'm sure.
All right, 8th overall pick, the Carolina Panthers select Tet McMillan. A-.
Awesome.
A-. I think it's a great pick for sure. They needed a receiver badly. I would have liked to see a little more discussion about potentially grabbing Warren. I just don't think they expected him to be there. So they stuck to their guns. But yeah, McMillan was a great pick. We'll give him an A.
I would make the argument that it might be the best pick for what the team truly needed to try and get over that hump. That might be the best pick out of the first 10.
Campbell. I think it's between them. I think it's Cam. I think they needed O.
I think
badly.
if Bryce Young keeps up his flashes and McMillan just has an all-star level season, I mean that could go down as one of the best picks in the first 10.
Yeah. All right. Ninth overall pick, the New Orleans Saints select Calvin Banks Jr., offensive tackle from Texas. C. I think they need an interior O-line more. I think they would have had to reach to get. I think Booker would have been a little bit of a reach there. I think what they should have done is trade back. They needed more than just one player.
Mm-hmm.
Are they even going to be able to pay him in 3 years?
That's what I'm saying. Like, you needed to get guys. Getting guys on cheaper deals would have been better, especially like the rest of their draft. You mentioned Neal. That's fine. They drafted Tyler Shaw in the second round. Like, I don't think they had a really good draft. I'll give them a C because Banks is a good player, but I just don't know if it was the biggest need. And then the 10th overall pick, the Chicago Bears select Colston Loveland, tight end from Michigan. I think knowing that it could have been Tyler Warren stops them from getting an A.
Yeah.
But I still think it's a B. The reason being, Loveland's player comparison is Sam Laporta. Who's their head coach now? Ben Johnson. So he got his Sam Laporta.
Mm-hmm. I would say it's the better pick than Tyler Warren. For the Bears scenario,
the scheme, yes. For the talent, no. So that's why I can't give it an A. Because it's a better fit, but I just think with how ultra talented Warren is, you could have traded back too. There was definitely somebody who wanted Warren enough to move far. I think there wasn't enough teams in the preceding picks where you could have moved back a few slots and grabbed him. I don't know. I just really think you could have maneuvered, and that's the only reason I don't want to give them an A, because I think Warren is the better talent. But I'll give him a B plus even. I don't think it's an A.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Before we move out of the first round, though, we won't go through all the rounds like we did with the other ones. What was the worst pick of the first round?
I gotta think about that.
Yeah, I really do.
Yeah, I think
Ekbuka?
I think Ibuka's not a bad. I think it's a confusing pick because
Yeah.
they needed secondary pretty badly. I guess if they can't guard the pass, they're just gonna have Baker throw it for 400 yards a game. I think Kenneth Grant was really confusing. I don't think that was Miami's biggest need. I think they need a lot of things, and I just don't know. Like DT, Grant was another guy where they could have probably waited on too. There was other DTs they could have gotten, so if they didn't get him, oh well. But I just think Grant was a reach. Banks, I'm not crazy about. I'm between those two. I think the Giants moving up to grab Dart, I'm not opposed to. I do like Dart as a prospect, and they've made it clear that he's not going to start right away.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Kenneth Grant. I didn't like that pick from Miami. They had a good last day, but they had a bad first day.
Yeah.
JD, what do you think?
I told the Commanders in there as well.
Connerly, yeah.
Yeah.
There was definitely other OT talent where they could have gone, or they could have waited a little bit too. I think probably should have went Simmons, if we're being honest. Connerly was a little bit confusing. I think it was definitely a little bit of a reach. I really don't like Kenneth Grant. It's not a great pick. But yeah. All right. So JD, you mentioned earlier you wanted to talk about Shedeur Sanders, and I think we wouldn't be doing the draft justice if we didn't talk about him. Stumbling all the way to the 144th pick in the 5th round to the Cleveland Browns, who had already drafted Dylan Gabriel. So I think we have to analyze this whole situation. Him stumbling, why the Browns grabbed him. So let's start with him stumbling part. We've heard rumors that his interviews didn't go well. There's been obviously memes galore about it. What could have transpired, whether it's from Blue Mountain State or music videos or whatever other thing you could think of. But clearly something went wrong with the pre-draft interviews, because a guy who was projected at one point to be the first overall pick falling all the way to the 5th round, and not like Ewers. Like Ewers was projected to be a top pick this time last year. Up until like 2 months ago, Sanders was in the first pick conversation. So what do we think happened in 2 months that made him fall from a consensus first-round pick to middle of day 3 pick?
Dion?
You think it was a lot of his dad?
Yeah. I mean, you go online and you're talking you're not saying what teams you won't let your son play for, but you're saying there's certain NFL teams that you will have your son refuse to sign with. All the teams that need quarterbacks right now are probably all the teams that were on that list that shouldn't have signed him. So, like, I mean, I can't really say I'm like that shocked. I mean, I was saying it every time we did a mock draft. I thought he was falling out of the first round. Granted, did I think he was going to the fifth? No, but I think his dad got in the way too much, and I mean, it didn't cost him any money. I mean, his jersey on his own website is now one of the most best-selling NFL jerseys, and he doesn't even have a number yet.
Yeah.
Like he got the money. It wasn't even an issue about money. I think it was just, I don't know. NFL teams just didn't want to deal with Dion, and then even in like when they cut to the draft room of the Browns, like they didn't really seem that excited about the pick.
Yeah.
I think they just wanted to see what this kid was really made of and whether or not he'll be able to break free of that 5-man quarterback.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what's so curious too, because obviously there was a lot of concern with either his dad, pre-draft interviews, whatever the scenario was. But you look at some of the quarterbacks who went before him, guys who, let's be honest, even if the character and family part was an issue, definitely shouldn't have. I think Dylan Gabriel is a great college quarterback. The fact they're on the same team, I don't know what we're doing. But he's a great college quarterback, but he also played 6 years, and there's still flaws in his game. Tyler Shaw, I don't really understand, especially that early.
Yeah, I was gonna say second round.
He was really climbing. He was really climbing up on people's draft boards recently. I don't understand the hype. Milroe too. I think Sanders is more of a developed product. The way Seattle's going to play him, if they play him correctly, is you have Darnold under contract for 3 years. Don't even do the Jordan Love. Bench him, have him not start his first 3 years, and then his fourth year, let him go out there and go crazy, unless an injury forces him into the game. Like I think it's just so confusing how he fell as far as he did.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of like the only quarterback that like really like name that's like jumping off this list that would have probably went earlier than Sanders in a correct world if they both would have went in the third round. I kind of understand the Milroe pick, but the show like that's terrible. Like,
Shaw and Gabriel. No.
I have no idea what the
so
Saints
bad.
like. The Saints are just an absolute dumpster fire right now.
Yeah.
JD, I know you want to talk about it. Like, what do you think of the whole scenario?
Yeah, I feel really terrible for the kid. I know people may not agree with me. I just feel awful because, listen, he has that type of personality. Like, you can tell. Like, he thinks that he's the best, which sometimes it's a problem and sometimes it's not. Like, I understand also in the sense of he played for his dad throughout his whole football career, so he never had that voice from the outside maybe correcting him. Because, of course, Dion is his dad. We got to understand that. So sometimes your dad doesn't want to always tell you you're doing things wrong. So I think maybe he's always trying to tell him, okay, all right, talk this way. You're going to act this way because you are that good. But maybe he's not that good. I understand that. But fifth round is mind-boggling to me. I think maybe coming out of the first round, I can understand that because he isn't the most athletic guy, but he can make all the throws. Like, the football talent is things that you can't teach all that stuff. So even like Jackson Dart, I think Shedeur is more talented than him. And if Jackson Dart's getting taken in the first round, then Shedeur has to get taken. I don't care about all the outside noise. And if you're an NFL team and you think one player is going to distract your entire building, then that's on you then, I think. I feel you can't let one player distract the entire situation. I'm sorry. You got to be better than that.
May I please intervene real quick?
Yeah, sure.
John, what franchise do you support?
Yeah, well, now he's not here anymore.
I just wanted to have that argument of you mentioned you don't want one player to distract the whole organization. Well, you've dealt with that for the last 2 years. I don't disagree with that. I don't think Sanders would have, but just to kind of put that in there. Also, I think another big thing you mentioned feeling bad for Sanders. I think we can all agree about that. A guy who we've seen guys stumble. Aaron Rodgers being one of them was projected to go, top 5 in his draft and fell into the late first. Levis falling out of the first. Geno Smith. Like, there's been instances. Dan Marino was supposed to go high in his draft, fell. Like, there's instances. Never to this extent, though. Maybe out of the first round or maybe a projected high first round falls to, like, late. From a first round pick to the 5th, this is truly unprecedented. And also another thing I feel bad. Jeff Ulbricht's son is a prick. Like, let's
Yeah.
be like that.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat it. That was unbelievably messed up.
If you're the NFL commissioner, what are you doing to the Falcons? Because like, granted,
I'm firing Jeff Ulbrich right now.
I think Ulbrich. It shouldn't be the Falcons. It should be Ulbrich.
it's
It's not. It's not. It's not the Falcons' fault that his son probably went in his phone and took his.
well, it was from what I read from his statement. He left his team iPad like open on like the family room table, and he went through and just started scrolling through. That's how he got Warren's number. That's how he got Shador's number.
That's what I'm saying. That's not Ulbrich, or that's not the Falcons' fault.
Yeah.
That's Ulbrich's fault. Ulbrich
Yeah.
gets fired, not the franchise.
Turn off your
franchise.
iPad.
Yeah.
And one other thing, guys, I wanted to mention. I don't know if you guys. I think you said this before. My audio cut out. The Browns front office definitely did not make that pick. That was straight from the owner.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And if he didn't get picked there, I don't know when the hell he would have been picked after
Yeah.
that, because the Browns are not happy that they even chose him. And I mean, they suck anyway, so they'll probably draft another 2 quarterbacks next year.
I think.
Yeah, the front office and the coaching staff did not have any input on that, and they traded up for him too.
Yeah.
So that showed that they had no input on that situation.
You think Philly would?
I think the Eagles would have swooped him up right afterwards. I think.
I think that too. Yeah.
It's like with where the trade came in. Like I agree with what you're saying 100%. That is an owner pick. That is let's sell jerseys. Like we see all this stuff going on social media. Like people want him to go. And granted, like he should have went at least in the 3rd round. But I think Philly, just based on like where they traded out, the only other team that really would have made sense was Philly. I mean, I think we're all kind of shocked that when I saw like Pittsburgh go up for like the 3rd and 4th round, I was like, okay, he's got to go now, right? Like once Dylan Gabriel's name got called, I was like, okay, he's going to be a Steeler. Like I was shocked when they came out with 5 cameras and the Browns pick was. I was like, okay, now it's Shador.
Well, let me ask this: you say it's Philly, and we'll never know. We'll never know at this point. Do you think at that point, obviously you guys went Howard the next round? Do you think if he had continued to fall, Pittsburgh would have taken him in the 5th?
I don't think so.
don't
Honestly,
think?
I don't think so. I don't think
No.
Tomlin and the boys were going to do that.
Well,
I don't think so.
Even you, JD. I know at one point in the night, like after the first or second night of like the draft, you were saying like you wouldn't be opposed to the Jets grabbing him. Do you think if he had fallen to 162 or fallen a little bit more and the Jets could have moved up, do you think the Jets would have taken him?
Me personally, I think they should have, but no, as an organization, I think they want to kind of lay low for at least the season and not have a ton of attention on them.
Right.
Because if they would have took Shador in the 5th round and they have someone like Justin Fields who's not a quote unquote everyday starter, like day one type of guy. So like if you have Shador in the background there, that would have been an issue, and I think that the Jets are trying to avoid that as best they can. Because I know for a fact Woody Johnson was probably itching his way closer to where Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji were to get him on that team. But I guess change of regime, they kind of put their foot down with that. But yeah, so I mean, I would have picked him too. I like him a lot. I really think he's a good player. So
Yeah. No, I just wanted to kind of play devil's advocate for that.
Mhm.
Overall, draft was fun. We'll move away from football now. We'll go to the sports book here for a little HKB Monday parlay. Reminder that gambling is a serious problem. If you have a problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER today. Have fun. We do this to have fun, and I think we're going to have some fun this week. I think we got good picks, boys. I'll kick it off. I'm going to go with Brendan Donovan of the St. Louis Cardinals to collect 2 or more hits tonight. In 4 at-bats against Nick Martinez, I know that's not a big sample size, but in 4 at-bats, he is 3 for 4 with a home run and 4 RBIs. He's hitting .360 this season. And most importantly, the Cardinals are on the road, where Donovan has thrived this year. He's hitting .429 in road games, including 5 multi-hit games. Tonight will be his 6th. Brendan Donovan, 2+ hits. Corey, what do you got?
I got the Cavs money line against the Heat. Listen, we want to end April making some money, so this should be a no-brainer. The Cavs have been just dominating the Heat. We expected that. They're, beating them by an average of 22 points this series. Mitchell and Garland have been dominant as we expected, but how about Ty Jerome, though? Ty Jerome averaging 15, 10, and 1 assist in this series, and he averaged only about 13 all year. He's contributed immensely. Cavs are going to sweep the Heat tonight.
Brooms. Cameron, what do you got?
I'm going with the Tigers money line against the Astros today. Hasn't failed me yet.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, and we got Flattery on the mound, so
Flaherty's a dog.
yeah. I mean, he hasn't had a great start to the season. I think he's 1-3. Granted, it's been a lot of reliever issues, not necessarily on him, but yeah, should be good. Should be fun.
All right. Soren, what do you got?
I got the Florida Panthers money line. I think that, they're leading the series currently 2-1. And I think that their shots on goal for Florida has been pretty good. As long as they, continue to keep attacking the net, I think that's going to be a big factor for tonight's game. And I want to see it go 3-1. So it'll be exciting to watch.
All right, so to recap this week's HKB Monday parlay, we got Brendan Donovan, 2+ hits, the Cleveland Cavaliers money line, the Tigers money line, and the Florida Panthers money line. On sportsbooks, between 9 and 950 odds. Reminder that gambling is a serious problem. Make sure you have fun with it. Set your limits, and if you have a problem or think you need help, please call 1-800-GAMBLER today. All right, boys, let's wrap this one up with our weekly picks. We got a great game in what has been a very chippy series, to say the least, in the Western Conference. We got the Warriors, and we have the Rockets. Warriors enter tonight's game up 2-1 in the series. Dropped the second game of the series to the Rockets, but it's been very back and forth. Jimmy Butler being a game-time decision tonight after, I think it was a pelvis injury.
Yeah, something like that.
But it's going to be a very chippy rest of the series. The beginning has already been as such. As we look at the standings real quick, though, Corey, put your crown on.
Clinch the crown.
He's been clinched for too long. Soren at 9-9, and then we got a 4-way tie for third, theoretically, but last place. Me and Bigsy separated by 2 points, then Cameron, and then JD with too many points to count. I can't count that high. So we'll kick it off. I got the Golden State Warriors to win 111-103. None of the games in the series have been super high scoring. There has at least one team in every game has not scored 100 points. I think that trend will finally end tonight. I think both teams will exceed it. I think Golden State, whether Jimmy's on the floor or not, I think they have a little bit more fire in their belly right now, especially being at home too. I don't think they'll win in 5. I think they'll probably win in 6. But I think they have that fire in their stomach right now, and I think they're gonna bully their way. I think the Rockets will take an early lead, but Golden State will come back in the second half. 111-103. Corey, what do you got?
I got Warriors 109-100. Just like you said, regardless whether Jimmy's on the floor or not, I think the Warriors will get another win at home. I just think last game, I love this Rockets team, but I think playing an experienced Warriors team on the road, they're just tough games to win, and I just think they proved their playoff inexperience last game, and I think it's going to carry over into this one, but I think it will be a lot closer throughout. So Warriors 109-100.
All right, JD, what do you got?
108-103, Golden State. The Butler injury, like you mentioned before, has me a little nervous just because they don't really have another reliable scorer. But someone like Buddy Hield stepped up the other night when Butler was out. So if he is out tonight, I think they will still get the win. And their defense has just been great. I mean, all year. I know, especially in this playoff series, but they've turned it on. And I know all these young guys are buying into the Steve Kerr system. And I think the Warriors go up 3-1 and put themselves in the driver's seat.
All righty. Cameron, what do you got?
Warriors 102-94. Hope we're all wrong, I guess.
Don't complicate it.
Yeah.
All right. Bigsy, what do you got?
118-107. Every series in the playoffs is going 3-1. I think the Warriors are going to keep that trend up. And Draymond Green might snap. I'm on Thompson's bones tonight.
All right. So we're wrap it up. What do we got?
I am going to be taking the Warriors in this game. I believe the score was 100-90. I think my bold prediction for this game, like you guys have been saying, like I think that the Warriors are, going to take the driver's seat in this series. But my bold prediction is going to be that Steph Curry drops 40 points.
All right. Is that really bold though? It's boldish. It's like on like
It's
60 points.
60 would be bold. I would say on like the Buffalo Wild Wings like spice meter. It's like mild.
It's a mild. Yeah.
It's like yellowish to orange on like the spice meter. It's not like burning your mouth. It's not the blazing challenge, but
There's some Scovilles to it.
Little tingle. But all of us, the boys, rocking with GSW tonight. So the first and second spots will remain the same. Point differential could maneuver the tie for third, but I will have to wait and see. But yeah, boys, before I wrap this one up, you got anything else?
No, this was another great episode.
It's always a great episode when we can Soren interject. Of course you can, Soren.
I don't know if anyone has noticed over the weekend, but my cousin Matt Swanson recorded his first strikeout.
Congrats, Matt Swanson.
Let's go.
I'm really happy about that. Really happy.
There you go. First professional strikeout. Has logged in 2 2/3 innings. And has not allowed a run. Has allowed just one hit and now has his first major league strikeout. Soren, who did he strike out to get that? Do you know off the top of your head?
I was looking into it last night, but it wasn't Contreras, but I think it might have been the first baseman. If I'm not mistaken.
All
For the
right,
Brewers.
Let me look through.
Already better than Jordan Romano. Congratulations.
Yes. Not a hard feat, let's be honest.
Hey, he closed out that game yesterday.
Ooh. I don't care. I hate Jordan Romano. He struck out Collins.
Yeah.
Struck out left fielder Isaac Collins. So Isaac Collins, you are in the Swanson family history book. Congratulations.
Welcome to the cellar.
welcome to the alley. Boys, anything else before we wrap this one up?
No, I think we're good.
All right. Before we cue that music, just a reminder that next week we're starting a little bit early, going back to the original time slot of 10 a.m. So make sure to set a reminder, a little notification, set the alarm, get the coffee early, coffee brewing, a little breakfast, a little bit earlier. But that's going to do it for this edition of He Knows Ball. Make sure to follow us on everything: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all that good stuff. Stay up to date. Corner right, Canada left, Soren is Alley, and John in the island of Staten. I'm Vincent Goldschmidt.